Anyway.
Hey everyone, welcome to my this whatever this becomes or is the interview series that I'm starting, and my first ever guest, Michael Perez-Cisneros, great engineer and friend that I've known. I was thinking about this. I think I've known you for 11 years now.
You've known me a long time.
Yeah, the first time was when we connected to do an album. I did my album.
Yes.
And you know, even though I've known you for a long time, I think I pieced together sort of a rough idea of your life and what you did, but there's a lot of mystery there still.
I thought like I know you, but I don't know you.
It's true. I mean, it's true.
Yes.
Yeah. But nothing.
Well, it's nice to be talking to you.
You know, thanks for
I've
coming
noticed
down.
your meteoric rise in
Stardom.
YouTube and Instagram communities.
So my God, we're working on it.
Watch out, man.
Coming for Rubbiato. No,
yeah, exactly. You're like the Rick Beato of this street.
Yeah, I'm definitely the Rick Beato of.
Can we say?
Let's not dox. Yeah, let's not dox him online. Yeah. People are gonna
of whatever neighborhood this man lives in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn, whatever part of Brooklyn.
Definitely the leading.
I'm the leading light.
The leading voice of jazz reason.
Of jazz reason over here.
Yes.
I want to go back a little bit because so when I first met you here, I knew of you through Julian Shore. He's the one that mentioned he was working on stuff. He's like, oh, you gotta hook up with Michael. And then I knew your name because first time I read your name was on the Hardcore album of Kurt's, and I'm like, oh damn, this guy, yeah. I always wondered about the name anyway. But you'd been doing engineering work in New York for a long time with everybody, pretty much all the
at this
people.
point, I had a lot of people, but yeah, definitely.
But I mean, I guess my question is how did music kind of show up in your life? You're from Miami originally.
I'm originally from New York.
New York.
But as a young kid, we moved to Miami.
Gotcha.
So I was in Miami a lot. And I played the thing kids do. I went to high school and college and stuff. But in high school, I started playing in bands. And I always seemed like, not in the first band I was in, but once the band started kind of going okay, like I was always the dude in the band who kind of knew how to record stuff or wanted to know how to record stuff.
Right.
So I kind of got good at it, kind of. I was a dude you'd ask questions. I'm like, Mike, what kind of thing should I buy? What kind of mic should I buy? For some reason, I was really interested in that kind of stuff because I love records. I love the idea of making records. I love the idea of, I was always amazed when I put on a record, like, oh, how did they make this? How did they do that? Like, how did they do this? You hear like a Beatles record or whatever record, like even modern records, like a Peter Gabriel record or something like that. In those days, I was like, oh man, I wonder how they do that. So I was always curious about that. So that's how I started kind of getting into it. And then I went to college, played in bands, lots of bands in college. Went to Berkeley for a little while, for like 2 semesters, and I was young. So I was very young. I went to Berkeley and I went to play, as an instrumentalist. And it was just like crazy because I was 17 when I started. And it was just like, everybody was telling me, no, you gotta work on this. No, you should work on that. So I was always like very confused.
Right. Let me pause you for a little bit then. You say, so like probably around high school, got started playing bands, guitar?
Yes,
guitar. Hell yeah. And that's kind of like, we're thinking early 80s?
Early 80s.
70s.
80s. Mid-80s.
Mid-80s. And it's interesting because I think about it, you were playing a lot of guitar and you got interested in how records were made and all that. And this is like, for us, it's ridiculous now because we think about, I'm 40 now. So even, I remember the time before this, but you could just look up stuff online. You couldn't. You had to go after the stuff.
It was real funny. Like you would find out your friend had a record. Yeah. And you'd be like, or a friend of a friend.
Right.
So you'd be like, oh, Jeffrey has that Jeff Beck record.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, your friend would be like, I'm gonna talk to him after school. Maybe we'll go over his house and we'll listen to it.
Right. But at the same time, it had this like precious thing about checking it out. You really taking everything in.
Yeah, it was a little bit, even though it seems like you can get everything now, it was almost like a little bit, I don't know if people understand how great it is in a way, how lucky people are. Like,
right.
It's really cool. Like you can hear anything.
But even finding out about how do you find out about like what compressor they used back then? You had to ask an engineer, eventually get around to.
You ask an engineer, you'd read, there's some magazines and stuff, but I remember like it was really interesting, man. You would end up like with things like even musicians. Like I remember there's this famous teacher, and I was a decent guitar player when I was younger for sure. And I found out like the dude you want to take lessons with,
right?
That like Mike Stern and all these dudes took lessons with, Laney Stern, Mike Stern, a bunch of other famous people, was this guy named Charlie Banakis.
Of course, yeah.
And what you would do is you would mail him a cassette.
I know.
Of your play.
I've heard this story. Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks later, he'd mail you the cassette back.
Yeah.
And he'd tell you what he thought. It was kind of a trip. I only did a few of those. But
man, I'm glad you're talking about Banakis because that story is everybody's like, dude. Krantz did it, like my Bruce Bartlett. You send cassettes and he would send them back.
Yeah.
And apparently, there's a story too that if you went to Boston, you went to study with him.
Yeah.
one-on-one,
you still had a cassette? Like
it was a cassette, but like the thing is, you called him, and then he had a voicemail. He's like, "Leave me your name, and I'll put you on my waiting list." And apparently, the waiting list was like a year long or something. But when he kept track of it, like fastidious. So in a year, he called you up. He's like, "Hey, it's Charlie Bernacos. No, you call me."
It's been a year.
Yeah, it's been a year. No, you're up.
It's been 1 year and 14 minutes since I still left your message.
So you were into like. I mean, am I kind of like me or everybody else, like classic rock, blues, that kind of stuff?
I was into lots of stuff. I was into like Guitar Guy records, like John McLaughlin and Jeff Beck. But then I also got into like really like kind of underground rock. Like I like The Cure. I like rock bands like that. Yeah. And I played in bands that were more like college rock, kind of like we would play in at clubs in Miami, and we played a lot. We did well. It was a couple bands I was in that did really well. It was really fun to play. Yeah.
I kind of skipped a lot of that, like, because my upbringing was a little different. But like that stuff, like The Cure, but even like some of I know people have a lot of mixed opinions about the lead singer, but like what is it? Morrissey, the band is
the Smiths.
The Smiths.
Well, you always
cool love guitar stuff, man.
Yeah, those guys were great. Those guys, like Johnny Marr was great. There's a bunch of great dudes. Like even Robert Smith from The Cure is a very cool songwriter.
Exactly, and he still sounds great.
Yeah, he still sounds great.
So went to Berkeley, got overwhelmed at Berkeley a little bit.
I thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Miami, and I was thinking, well, maybe we go to music school in Miami. But then I just decided, you know what? No, I'm just gonna play in band. I had people I played with, so I played in bands a lot, and it went well. And that was really cool, and I did that, and I ended up, just doing that a few years, graduated college, and I decided I should go to New York, play more with different people. And weirdly, New York was weird for playing for me, because I was overwhelmed with the whole, like, idea of, like, everything was hard to do in New York. Like, if you want to rehearse, you'd have to, like, if you're in a rock group, you'd basically be renting a rehearsal room somewhere.
You can't do it in your house.
You couldn't do it in your house. So that was the thing, and I remember that being I remember being real disheartened by that, but I still played a little bit, and then I was dating somebody, and I ended up living in Seattle for a while from that.
Oh.
And we broke up, and weirdly I still was like, we were supposed to go to Seattle. I was like, I'm gonna go anyway, because I wanted to change, and I went out there, and weirdly I went to music school there. I wanted to go back, get back a music degree, so I went to this school called Cornish College of the Arts, and I learned. Basically, there is when I really got into recording. I had this Yamaha digital mixer.
Oh shit!
And I had a digital output, and you plug it into a DAT machine, digital audio tape machine, which had these little, like, almost like a mini VHS cassette, kind of like its own format. And I would record people's recitals, jazz recitals at the school I was at, and people really liked them. People were like, "Oh, this sounds so good." So I think the first time I ever got paid to do a recording for real, like from somebody that wasn't like my friend, giving me like $100 or something. It was like, there's this guy named Nabil Ayers, who oddly, I knew him because we both worked in a music store at the time, part-time. We both worked at this music store in Seattle. And weirdly now, he's a drummer, and he had an indie label that he was his own little label. But now he's like the president of the Beggars Group, which is like all the giant indie labels. It's like, like 4AD and XL and all these, and he's like ended up being the president of this label. And I recently, like a year ago, had lunch with him. It was really fun.
Wow! But
he paid me to do a record for a band, a live record with my little Yamaha digital mixer.
You brought it to the gig and set up,
and it was crazy. And I think I got pretty good at understanding recording from that, because it was almost like old school. It's almost like how you made records in the 50s, if you did jazz in the 50s, where it was like live to 2-track, live to digital tape. So it was like me mixing on the fly I'd sit there with headphones like real tight, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna understand how to mix this. And I'm like, okay, here comes the sax solo. I always went to school, so I knew enough about music where I could follow the form of the tune. And okay, the sax solo's coming up, so I'll turn up the sax a little bit. And I would balance things on the fly, and you learn to make decisions recording, and I think that was real cool.
That's awesome, man. That's one thing I feel people, I don't know whoever will be listening to this in current times, like that whole mixing on the fly thing, because it's going to tape, so you have to actually do it as you do it.
You make good decisions, and you understand what music, you try to refer in your mind what record sounded like that you loved. A lot of times people get real, again, you don't want to make it exactly like some old record. I don't do that now, and I don't think I ever really did that, but I don't want to get too deep here, but a lot of people say, like, taste is retrospective. Like, if you like something, it's because you heard it before, you saw it before. Right. So it's a retrospective thing. You're basing your taste on, like, things that you've heard. And a lot of people say, like, art is prospective. Like, art is looking into the future. For sure. Not necessarily something you've done before. But I think a lot of it for us, if you're an artist, and I don't think I'm quite an artist, but I'm a craftsperson at least, I feel like I try to be inspired by old things and try to be informed by them.
Right.
So I think a lot of, while my records, I don't think, sometimes they sound like old records if people really want them to, but in general, I just want it to be informed by the history of what we've done and what we've heard.
For sure.
Like if I'm doing a record for you, I would be like, well, he's part of that lineage of guitar players, so let's make it so it has something to do with it. Because you kind of, if you were like some crazed avant-garde cat that was doing really wacky stuff, I would maybe not.
Sure.
Like you're part, but I look at somebody like you, even Pat Metheny, anybody. Pat Metheny's part of a lineage of Jim Hall, Pat Metheny, like Rosenwinkel, all these guys that we know now. And there's a lineage, so you want to kind of like, I don't know if you want to pay homage to the lineage, but you want to be aware of it at least.
For sure. Like address it in a way that's kind of part of a continuum sort of a thing.
Yeah. That's neat to do. That's the way I kind of look at it a lot. And I want things to sound. And somebody also, my philosophy sometimes is like, if somebody sounds great, I want to try to make them sound like they sound. Like
For sure.
I don't want to be cute about it. Like, well, I'm going to change you up. I try not to do that. But I also, sometimes people do need we all need a little help sometimes. So sometimes people need a little help to like, well, no, we're going to make it sound a little hipper than maybe it sounds in the room. But that doesn't happen that often. Most of the time people they have a sound. If most folks that are like, I'm going to make a record, they're developed enough that they got a concept.
Right.
Yeah.
That they want to follow something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Out of Seattle, how did you end up back in New York?
Well, I had my friend Julio.
Oh, you and Julio down by the schoolyard.
I don't like that. He's like, I want to start a studio in New York. And we always used to talk about equipment. And I used to hang out at a studio in Miami. And there was a guy named Frank Falestra. And he's like a Miami legend. Like, he was awesome. And he goes by the name of Rat, too. Oh, yeah. Rat Falestra. And he actually started, I think he started it. He started this thing called the Miami Noise Conference.
Oh, shit.
And it was like noise groups. Like either jazz, everywhere from almost jazz to like rock, to people from like the band Sonic Youth would go to these things, but like noise music. But he had a studio, and he was very kind, man. He would always he would allow me, I'd be like, hey, Frank, can I hang out? And how do you do this? How do you use that? And he showed me a lot of stuff. He was a real good dude. And Julio was part of that studio. And Frank was old, I thought. Frank was this old dude. And he was I was like 16, and he might have been 27. But he was like the old guy. So I hung with him a little bit, and I listened to what he would have to say. And he would follow the bands around in Miami a lot, and he had bands. And he was real cool. And my buddy Julio was part of that, and I knew him from that. So we had this little sort of studio connection. And so he's like, yo, Mike, I want to start a studio in New York. And we went to New York, and it didn't happen at all. He kind of, I don't want to say he flaked, but it just didn't go. It didn't go the way we thought it was going to go. Right. And he ended up, I think, at some point going back to Miami. And there's another dude who's actually an engineer now, still in New York, a cat named Joey Rea, who does a lot of stuff for Disney, and he did run the Jewels and all that. And me and Joe would talk back in the day, right around that era, especially when Julio, because Julio just wanted us both to help him out with his studio. Mm-hmm. And Julio kind of, did his own thing, and me and Joe were in New York, and Joe was from New York, so I think it made sense for him to stay in New York. And when Joe and I would just be engineering things, sort of on slightly different paths. Like, he was doing more underground hip-hop records and stuff like that. And I got a little bit of work through him. I got some mastering work through him back in the day. But he ended up having now he's got a massive career. Like, he's done all the Disney movies, like Frozen, and so he's real cool. He's an influence too, in the sense of like, he was inspiration. Like, he was a dude who worked hard and got things done. And I try to do the same thing, like get things done. So I ended up in New York. Things didn't go well one day. It was going badly. I was doing little projects here and there, but nothing big. And then one day I was working part-time at my friend's music store in New York City.
Is that Matt's?
Matt's store,
the 30th Street.
30th Street Guitars, when it was still on 30th Street. I worked
shout
there
out,
too.
Matt.
Shout out to Matt. Matt's so cool. I come in whenever I'm in New York again. I see him. I say, hey, he always runs a crate store if you want a guitar or whatever you want.
He's a great guy.
Go get it from Matt. He's cool. But sitting there, and then one day, like, Kurt Rosenwinkel, the guitar player, came in, and I was aware of him because I liked his records. I don't think I ever saw.
It's like early '90s or
no, this is late '90s.
Late '90s. This
is actually the year 2000.
Okay, so he was already with Verve at that point,
Yes. And then he was like, do you guys sell like a digital cable? And everybody was like, looked at me and was like, Mike, can you help him? I know we didn't have a digital cable, and I started talking to him. And we talked for like a few minutes, like 5-10 minutes. And he's like, you know what, man, can you help me with, I don't know what came over this dude, because he was like, he must have trusted something in me. He was like, can you help me with my album? I'm doing this album. And Q-Tip's producing it and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, I'm into it.
Sounds good.
Sure. Let's meet up. And I went to his apartment. I helped him build out a studio in his apartment.
Damn.
And I think most of it was recorded in his apartment. I think one time, I don't think I even went for this session where he like took his laptop and he went to like Ethan Iverson's house to play a piano on a track.
Oh, wow.
So it was all like done with like a lot of sampled stuff, live drums that he played and Jeff Ballard played. And Ben came in to do overdubs, and we do a lot of things. It went on for a couple of years, and he paid me pretty well for it. But we basically set up the mics and we set up the stuff. I would set up mics and get them together where they were kind of cool. And I brought over some of my gear, some cool preamps, some like API preamp stuff, and different stuff I liked. And he had some mics that were working nice, and we used those. And I would just mic it up, and sometimes I would go away for like a week, and I'd come back. And sometimes he'd move stuff around a little bit, sometimes he wouldn't. And that's how the record was done. And then we mixed it in my apartment. And the computers were so primitive at that point that to get the mix to actually print correctly without crashing, I'd have to turn off the video screen.
Oh, wow.
To give the computer enough
all the processing power for the...
Yes, and then it would work. It wouldn't crash. And then when the song was over, I could hit the space bar, stop the recording, and I could turn on the video screen.
That's amazing, man.
And some of the tunes were like that. There was just so much stuff being used that it would have to...
That's crazy. Just a little background, if somebody got lost there, this is this record called Hardcore that I think Kurt did, and it was a combination of sample stuff that he was doing with Q-Tip and recording people live and all this kind of put together.
Yeah, basically, Kurt had Q-Tip was there sometimes, but a lot of times Kurt was on his own, and Kurt would have Q-Tip was as a producer. Mm-hmm. Q-Tip thought it was a cool idea to give Kurt his he had an MPC 2000 or 1000 or 3000 maybe, one of those older white MPC machines from Akai. And Q-Tip gave Kurt his whole library of samples.
Oh, drums.
So drums and stuff like that, and it's different samples, and Kurt used that a lot. So I think that was a big part of it. And that was a real fun experience, man. Kurt was real cool, and we had a fun time. We had a lot of. It was funny. We would joke around a lot and have a good time doing it. It was really fun, and he got a great record out of it. So.
Do you think that's what sort of got the ball on with the other jazz artists? Or was that going on still already? No,
absolutely. The only other record I did right before that, I did a record for this band that's sort of almost jazzy, but jam band adjacent, or jazz adjacent, jam bandy vibe, which is this band called the Jacob Fred Jazz Odyssey. Mm-hmm. And they were not around anymore, but the members of that band are still around. And that was like sort of a jam band vibe from Tulsa. And they were cool, man. And this album was called, I think, Walking with Giants, I think, or something like that. And it was a good album. It was fun to do. My friend Joe, who recorded it, he's like, it's a jazz record, you want to mix it? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to mix it. So it was really cool. And that record came out around the same time as Hardcore. But I think the Hardcore thing was, it's like almost like typical thing. It's like, nobody cares about me. And then the minute you did Kurt's record, all of a sudden, it just makes people trust you.
Yeah, there's some credibility there.
Yeah, people see you, oh, you did this, oh, you did that record, you must be good, you must know what you're doing. And I was like, no, dude, 2 weeks ago, I knew what I was doing too. When you didn't want to do a record with me.
2 weeks ago, I knew what I was doing.
But now that you know, that's kind of cool. Now you know, and good.
Let's do something.
Yeah. It's all right.
It was because when I first met you, 2015, when we recorded, I think, my first album, and it was Peter Carl. You weren't at Peter Carl's at that point, I was in and out. I mean, I don't know.
I had a room there. Uh-huh. That my history is of recording people in New York. Was I got here, I mixed people in my apartment, a bunch of records, starting with Kurt's and the Jacob Fred Jazz Odyssey stuff, and then I started doing other things. I was lucky to do other things like for John Ellis and for a couple of different people.
Yeah, John.
And a lot of records for this dude, Omer Avital.
Oh yeah, Omer was like a big presence in the 90s.
I did a lot of stuff. And he was very cool. And it was like records are this way today. It was a lot of times like when Omer had budget, he paid me real well. And sometimes like, Mike, I don't got budget for this. If I give you $600, I'm like, whatever you got. Next time you pay me more. Mm. And we would do it. And I still try to operate that now because I love doing people's records that might not think they can do a record with me, but I'll do it, man. What do you got? Like, but I'm just saying, like, I like making records. I'd rather make 5 records for less money than make 1 record for a lot of money. It's just sort of like, I like doing things.
Also, maybe a good message to have there is not to be within reason. If you have a project, try to make it work.
Listen,
Talk to people.
I think I shock people sometimes because they'll be like, well, how much is it? I'm like, I don't know how much you want to pay me. And some people are like, what? Like, and it's really funny. I found that this is kind of almost like a weird, I don't want to say it's not a secret, but it's an odd thing to confess to, but it's like, that's been a thing I've been doing lately. It's like I say to people, like, how much you want to pay me? And they're like, what? Like, well, just tell me what you. I'm like, well, how much you want to pay? How much do you think it's worth for me to do your record? And it's really funny because I would say, and I have a number in my head.
Sure.
And I would say a lot of times, I would say more than half the times, people kind of get real close to what I'm thinking.
Right.
Very rarely do people say like
something outrageously
low,
less or more or something.
Once when people say more, I generally don't correct them. I'm like, okay, it might be $3 or $4 more than I thought. I was like, okay, I'll do it.
But also, if they're pitching that, it's because they have the budget for that too.
Yeah, and they feel okay. That's the thing. I think the key to making good things is like keeping people comfortable. I'm never like, well, you're running out of money. We can't do this.
Right.
I don't do that. It's just silly.
It's such a downer too.
It's a downer, bro. It's not fun. And you just have to try to. I'm experienced enough where I can gauge pretty well people what they're going to be like. And there's sometimes I will, and I'm usually right, you know. And if I'm not right, I lose. I do a record that's like I'm working at McDonald's, but that's not the worst thing. I mean, if it's a cool record in the end, that's great. I don't mind.
It's nice to have.
And there's records that I do really fast, and I'm like, wow, I made more money than I thought, and that's really cool too. So it's a balance. I think I try to be. I mean, the neat thing is if you do a bunch of records with me, what most people realize is like, wow, the price doesn't really go up particularly. It just changes a little bit. Maybe sometimes it'll go down. Maybe sometimes it'll be a crazier project. And it's also when it's like everything else in life. It's like you. Like if you haven't done a gig in a week and there's this venue you like playing at, and somebody goes, hey, can you do this gig for $40? You might say, I never want to take $40 for a gig. But then it might be somebody you like playing with.
Right.
It might be a venue like, I love that venue. They have really good food and they're really nice. And I'm not doing anything else this week, so I'll go out and do that.
For sure. It is that sliding scale that keeps going.
Yeah, you know, it's all about keeping. I think you're better off. My advice to anybody out there doing records is like, I think you're much better off doing more stuff that's less. I think a mistake a lot of people make is they do a record that's like, they think like, this is my record. It's gonna have like 4 horns,
right, or
6 horns. And it's gonna be this and the arrangements, and then I'm gonna do one song with a string quartet, and that's nice. I mean, that's great. But you're better served doing in a record. And again, this is from me, a guy who makes records. So I'm telling you, come make records.
Right.
But you're better served making records more often if you can.
Yeah.
Because you get out there, you get your name out there. I mean, it's almost like what you're doing, talking to people out there. You know, talking to people about the guitars you're using, talking to people. It's interesting to people. People want to know people, especially a place like New York, which is real busy, especially with jazz. Like it's a real active scene. It's a vibrant scene. So. This is phone information for people, and it's even if you're like in the middle of America, and you might wonder it's like in New York. You know, you talking to folks gives them a little bit of a
glimpse,
of it, and that's pretty neat. You know, so I think it's a service that when cats like you do what you do to get them out there. And I think, I mean, to me, to contribute to what you're doing, I would say to people like, just realize you can do this. You can make records. You can do things. Start doing it, and then you're not going to be as weird and precious about everything you do. I mean, if you do a record every 6 years, nobody was going to know about you because you're going to disappear. Not necessarily, but there's a good chance you're not going to be as out there because
right. Instead of just more regularly.
Yeah, do a record, do a video, a recording that sounds pretty nice that you can put out there. So every 6 months or something, you're doing something at least that's kind of like notable, like that people can grab onto. I think that's
I think that's a great take, actually.
A cool thing, with that.
Going back to Peter Carl for a minute, because you were recording different places, and I'm assuming like when the jazz artists started coming in, that was kind of like your main hub to when you started engineering more than mixing.
Yeah, it was in Gowanus, and it was Peter Carl Studios, and it was Peter had a neat space. Yeah. I always felt like, he needs more gear, he needs more cool mics, so I started buying more and more stuff.
Yeah.
And I ended up collecting a lot of mics, and I've got a lot of those. I kind of not quite gave it away, but somebody would help me with something. Somebody helped me move a bunch of furniture to Nashville when I got my place down in Nashville. And I said, here, take these mics, bro, you help me out. You know, and I did that, but I've kept almost all of it, and I come up to New York it seems like every 6 weeks or so to do somebody's album, and I have a little Pelican case.
Oh, yes.
That fits in the overhead in the airplane, and I can hold like 15 or 16 cool mics, and I bring my mics I like using. I often bring those mics with me.
Do a little session.
I do a little session with that, and I just did one this week at the Power Station, which was real cool.
All right.
So yeah, there's like, I'm always doing stuff. Small studios, big studios, and I've got a friend, old assistant of the studio that I was at, which was called Big Orange Sheep, which I ended up in Brooklyn, which is a real cool studio. And because prices in New York are so crazy, they went out of business because there was no way they're gonna those rent.
In the Industry City, yeah,
that was the rent increases. Were
the
killing.
space was great. I love that space. It was
a great
nice.
space,
Yeah.
but one of the dudes there who became another cool studio in New York is a studio I've done stuff out of since I've been coming back a lot. Is this studio called Second Take Sound, which is quite good. And David was a chief engineer there, and now I was actually, before I came here, I went to his space. It looks like a crazy giant room with a dirt floor right now, but in the next 6 months or so, it should be a studio, and it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be called Turk and Co. Recording or studio or something like that. And it's gonna be a really cool place, and hopefully he will let me do stuff there.
I'm sure,
which would be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I first hooked up with Mike, he was working out here. Called my first album in New York, which I guess is my second album, was the first one that I consider more mature, I guess.
Well, I think you just put a lot of thought.
I did, yeah.
You really had a vision of getting certain players on it.
That's true.
And you did that, which was very cool.
But I think I knew, like, just in regards to that, because I remember I didn't know really what to expect, and the players were like big names, and I didn't have a close relationship. They were all really nice and professional, but like I didn't really know what to assume. And you were a bit of a wild card. Like I was talking to you, and you were, of course, like super professional. I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. But then I remember the day before, he said, "Man, if you want to come to the studio the day before the recording, like get some sounds, figure some stuff out," which I thought was really nice, and put everything a little bit more at ease.
I mean, that's the thing. I think if you can do, I mean, there's sometimes, like, for example, we recorded at Power Station the last couple of days. It's not really. They're accommodating, but you can't really. It's not the same thing where it's like I'm not the owner of the studio, but I have keys. I can do what I want. So if nobody's there at night, I was sort of, hey, dude, no one's here. You want to come over? And I knew it was sort of a record that was important to you, and I knew you were worried about, like, what is this going to sound like? And I was like, well, let's just do that now.
Right.
So
and
you
come in tomorrow,
and you don't have to think about it so much. I do my best, and I think that's the thing. It's like, I think if I do anything right in what I do, I think I take everybody's records very seriously, and I realize I do records almost not quite every day, but I'm always working on some record every day. I'm not recording every day, but the thing is, it's like, it's important. These records are people's lives, and this is what they work years to do. Yeah. So I take it real seriously. I want to make sure that I understand that even though it's commonplace for me, this is not commonplace for you. Like I can't just be like, oh, don't worry about it. You're being weird. It's like, no, you're not being weird. I get it. If you haven't done it before, you've got to be cool with people and help them out. And let them give them as much peace of mind as you can.
Right.
Which is cool.
No, and then one I remember, it was stressful for me, but it went really well. And I remember, like, your input, especially doing the mixing process, was really important to me too. And you were always like a very straight shooter. Even we all grow and all that stuff. And this was me 12 years ago. It didn't sound like I did, but we did a lot of talking, and that was all very, like, helpful, growing experience for me. And the fun thing is when we went back to do the next one, which was at Big Orange Sheep too. A lot of the crew was the same. Like, Joe came back, Eric came back. We had Kevin and Mark on it, but it was just such a breeze. That record, the memory that I have from it was just so easy.
Again, I think that's the argument I would have for doing as much stuff as you can, because the more you do, it's like anything. If you play a tune more than once, it gets easier. And I think that's the thing. The more you do it, I mean, I'm working with a dude down, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He's in Orlando, a cat named John Crisula, and he's got a band called JK and the Contraband, and it's like kind of fusion-y, funky fusion-y stuff. But I mean, he had me mix this record for a few months ago. But he was like, I got my home studio. I'm really working on this stuff. He's been getting better in the few months. Like, he's sending me records now to master where I'm not mixing them. Like, dude, you're killing it. Like, you're getting better. I'm not here to. I mean, I realize we're in the 21st century, so my job is not only I want to mix your record,
right?
But if you ask me questions like, I don't have a budget. Why don't you master my record? And I'll mix it. I'm like, okay, well, it's like anything. It's like, I've been to the dentist a lot of times, but I can't say, hey man, I've been to the dentist like 50 times.
I could probably
give you, I got the drill. I can, fill your cavity. That's really not practical. I wouldn't let people, and I think it is a little bit the same with mixing. I mean, if you've never done anything before, there's definitely a risk. But this guy's put hours in, and he's gotten quite good. Right. So, I'm happy to help. And I'm like, hey, listen, dude, if there's anybody I would even put it out there that as a listener, I'm easy to find, find my email. Yeah. Send me, if you want to go, like, what would you get to record a guitar?
We'll put everything in the links below. We'll link everything up. Find this guy.
Yeah, and I'm happy to. I can't give you all my time, but if I'll ask a question or two. I'm happy to help. And I love talking. I mean, if I'm bored and I'm not busy, I'll be like, yo, call me. I'll tell you about it.
We've had some time.
So, and it's fun to do. I love being part of positive things and people's progression as they get better and better. I mean, it's real fun to work with you because I know from what my love for you comes from, like, you're a great person, but also you play, you every time I hear you sound better because you never stop. You are a dude who works hard, and I feel like when I walked in here today, like, yeah, I'm transcribing this solo. Like, it's sort of like you're always working, and I think I gravitate towards people like that I know are working hard. I mean, that's a part of the reason why I think Kurt's awesome. Is Kurt, when we recorded him at the Village Vanguard, that dude was there before in the afternoon. He would be there already, like on the stage.
Warming
up and practicing like arpeggios and shit. I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, oh my god. People that do this. I mean, I love recording people. Yeah. Like, part of me, like when I come to New York and do things, part of me is like, I should have maybe I should come back to New York because it's like I was recording a lot more when I was here.
Right.
And I really enjoy that process. I think weirdly, I like mixing records, and it's cool because you when you mix it, you enter that record into the pantheon of records,
True.
But recording is fun, dude. It's fun.
It is fun. I know.
It's capture the sounds and do that, and I love doing that. So I'm hoping my buddy Dave's studio is cool because I'd love to come and just like, I'll just leave these mics here, dude. Let's record some records. You use them when I'm not here. So
and just fly up, do a session, and
go back. And I like living in Nashville though. Nashville's a cool new challenge.
Oh man, Nashville's great.
You like going there? I know.
I do really like. I'm back there in May. I mean, it's great, and I feel like you're really well set up there. It's nice, just good.
No, I got a good place. I like my place. I own a place finally, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I'm paying the mortgage and stuff, but it's a cool feeling to own your own spot. So that's cool.
It's also cool that, like, and I hope it happens more because I really value, like, a thing that I saw, I guess, in my second album with you, 1962, my third album, and in Ben Houston's record a little bit too, you have a little bit more input as kind of a producer, like some ideas that, like, we have one track, the first track on my third album, ones that I really, we did it together just on the room. There was no other music, we just overdubbed a bunch of stuff, and I really like that track. It came out really good, man. So it's like, how much, like, do you want to be putting a little more input creatively in some records?
I like it. It's funny, like, I enjoy that, but I'm into it. Like, if somebody wants ideas, man, I'll give you.
If the vibe is right.
I'm pretty close with Ben, and Ben Jensen's record, the Ace record we did, was a real cool one. And
that's a great record.
And he gave me a production credit, and I thank him for that because I think I did have a little bit of input, or at least the sonics of it and stuff like that. And I would throw in a little suggestion here and there, but Ben's vision was real good, so he knew what to do.
He worked hard on that record.
Yeah, he worked real hard on that record. And I was talking on the phone earlier when I talked to you today. I think I'm breaking some news that Ben is supposed going to be back.
New York, yeah. Cat's out of the bag. Do we oust you, Ben? I'm sorry.
No, but by the time this is out,
you'll probably already be here.
People might know.
Yeah.
But Ben is coming back, which is awesome. And Ben's going to do some live stuff. So anybody who's a Ben Jensen fan out there,
yeah.
Don't tell him. You know what? I feel bad like I'm telling everybody, but I think people will know soon enough. And he's
and I'll get him here. Actually, we have to do a little chat with Ben, man.
You should do a chat with Ben because Ben's a great dude, a great player, and another dude works. I mean, the reason why he plays it especially his technical facility and his concepts are. I mean, I don't know anybody who practice. He's a good dude, and he deserves any attention and successes he's been getting. And I know people have been responding real well to his like online teaching stuff.
For sure.
Cool, man.
It's a good dude. Anyway, yeah.
I feel bad in a way because we're talking about all these general things, and there might be folks out there who are like, "What do you? What
compressors do you use?"
Yeah. So I don't know if
use. I mean, one thing that I guess. I mean, I'm sorry, engineer and fictionals. I'm not like the guy. I'm a guitar player, but you use Nuendo, right? Still?
I use Nuendo or Cubase. Yeah, I use that because that's a program I started with, and I think. I will say my hot take is I think it sounds better. Which people are going to argue that's not true. I think it's true, but I think it sounds a little better. Like its audio engine sounds better, but I think it's great. And I think I've just recorded a record in Pro Tools here. It's great too. I mean, it's all great. Logic's great. They're all. Listen, put it this way: if you're stopping yourself from making a record until you get Pro Tools, you're making a mistake. You should use what you got. If you got GarageBand, use it. It sounds good. It sounds better than the technology they had 800 years ago. or 80 years ago, you can make a record. So make a record. I say this is at home or if it's in a studio. Start learning about this stuff. It's really fun stuff, and it's really rewarding to get. The more you know about it, the more you're able to communicate with engineers. If you do end up going that route, using a professional engineer to work on your record. So, and that's what I would say. But I mean, it's none of it's real magic. I mean, again, like I'm very picky with that stuff. I mean, I have like insanely expensive gear that I like.
Well, you've been doing this a while as a professional.
And I really do seek out certain things that are really great. And again, like if anybody wants to talk about it or ask a question, feel free to hit me up. I have no problem. I just sent this guy in Spain, like he was asking me something, and I sent him these giant. I was like, well, I don't know if he was expecting like me to be that into it, but I was like, and you could do this and you could do that. It's like, and you could try this maybe. And I was like,
damn.
Because I'm into it, man. It's exciting to get into the process.
Of course.
So when people are wanting to get into the process, I embrace helping them because I remember how it was for me. And when I could afford getting cool things, it was really cool. And now is a great time because the stuff you can get now is way better than the stuff that you could get when I was a kid. So it's like it's cool. You can do something.
Doing for the love of the game, man. Look at
you gotta do it because it's fun. But that's the thing is like you can do so much cool stuff. You don't need to don't restrict yourself.
For sure.
It's sort of like playing guitar is the same thing. Like, but now you can buy a guitar for $300.
And it's great. Like it can be really good.
It's made in Indonesia and it's awesome.
For sure.
It's shocking.
No, it's shocking. Yeah. I mean, just to recently started working a little bit with Paul Reed Smith and the SC they sent me. I know. Great guitar.
No, I was over at my buddy. I have another buddy in Nashville who's an endorser, a PRS endorser.
Kurt, right? Kurt Ozan?
Yeah.
Shout out Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt's awesome, and he plays with this cat Luke Combs. Tours with him a lot, and he had his SE, and he's like, yeah, man, SE's really good. It's like, is it better? He's like, I don't know. It's great. They're both great. The SE's great. The Core is great. Yeah. And he plays a bunch of those, and gets them from them, and he plays both of them. I think
you could get killer gear now.
I think he plays both of them live actually, which is kind of nuts. It's like, there's
could just use your fancy ones.
Yeah, one's a $600 guitar, and one's like a $4,500 guitar or something. And they're both. I mean, I hear him play them, and they sound great. So
yeah,
it's cool. There's a lot of cool stuff like that. So
So now life is sort of between Nashville and New York mostly. Doing records, mixing, mastering.
A lot of remote stuff. I do a lot of stuff for people in Asia and Europe that want to mix a record.
Yeah.
I do where they'll send me the files. I'll do the record, and sometimes I can do a live streaming thing where I mix with them while we're talking to each other, and it's almost like them being in the room. The latency is pretty good. So you can really have a good, solid communication with people and actually get things done, and it works quite well. So we've been doing a bit of that. But dude, it's so funny. Like, because we remember when we started thinking, I don't know, are you gonna know what to ask me? I mean, should we ask people to ask questions? I think you said like you got one question.
I got one question. Yeah.
Thank you, all our fans.
Thank you. You won. No, I mean,
we should send this dude a prize.
No, exactly.
I should go over and like cook him dinner or something.
Mike is gonna go to your house and reply to your question in person.
Just like mix a song for you or something because I'm so grateful for your question.
One question. Yeah. No, but I think.
Do you remember what the question is?
It's
only one question. So
I know how hard could it be? I remember.
It's a complicated question.
It's not that complicated question. Hey, hang on. Let me find the question and we'll be right back.
Should we pause? We're pausing.
Put it pausing. And we're back, baby. We're back.
We've been perusing this question.
We've been. Justin Tyler Hughes.
Justin, thank you for the question.
And thank you for buying the record. Really appreciate that.
So what is the perfect
equilibrium between gain and volume and gain
in regards to tone?
In regards to guitar tone.
Okay, it seems like this question could go a couple ways.
Yeah.
I would say one of us almost should be you answering it, which is sort of like gain versus volume.
Like amplifier, I guess, right? When you mean like, let's say we have an amp with a master volume and a volume, is that, I guess that's...
Yeah. I think, well, okay, I'll give you my engineer guy take, which is, I think a lot of times guitar players play with more gain than they need to.
No.
And I think that's a funny one because when you practice on your own, you tend to use more gain because it's easier to play.
Sure.
So I think that's a thing. I think I would say to you, in terms of if it's from the amplifier versus guitar relationship, I would say, again, if you're playing like death metal or something, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're like, dude like Kurt or Ricardo or Robin Ford or like dudes like that, I think a lot of times you want to get away. Again, this is subjective, so I'm not the maven of all knowledge here with this, but I think if you can get away with a little less gain, it often will be a more expressive situation. Now, if you're Alan Holdsworth and you play very legato, but I would argue even like if you listen to like early Van Halen records, there's gain, a lot of gain, but it's not as much gain as the later records, which I think the earlier records sound better. I think for a lot of things that's the case. I think gain versus tone in a studio sense, oftentimes you deal with the input level of a microphone into a preamp or something like that. And that is, again, it's similar. It's like you don't want to hit a mic preamp too soft because and certain mic preamps have a sound, it's almost like an amplifier. They have a certain sound of their own. And it's really neat to push them a little bit to get, because that sometimes, it'll compress the sound a little bit, make it sound a little punchier and fatter. And that's a neat thing. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways you could look at that question, but I think the general question is, almost applicable to you. What do you think? Like, what do you do when because you have a bunch of distortion pedals. Are you tempted to make them more gainy, and then they go, no, I don't. I should do that.
It's funny because I guess my it's almost like a contrasting view to what you said in an interesting way. Because like I guess my thing, a lot of people come up playing rock guitar, and I did some of that, but I wasn't particularly good early on at this. So I went for the jazz path, and now I'm starting to play more gainy things, like in Nashville, we're doing some of the gigs there. And I realized, like recording myself in just gig situations, that I was playing like my clean, when I was playing rock songs,
getting a rock,
aesthetically, I was going like clean, like jazz clean. And I was just like, it needs a little something. It needs a little bit of hair. Yeah. So I started messing with that pedal, that Greer Amps Lightspeed. I'm not saying that it has to be that, but I find that I like that sort of rock guy clean with a tiny little bit of hair, because it just makes the guitar sound, or if you go hot into the amp.
I think it's also, as a guitar player, it seems to me that that's a really neat, it's almost like taking up the challenge to like, it's a little harder to play when it's less gain.
Yeah.
Not always. Like, again, if you're doing a legato thing, maybe it's a little tricky with very little gain.
Yeah.
But, it's neat the challenge is neat. Like, you can challenge yourself.
For sure.
To play a little cleaner, a little better, a little bit, your technique has to be a little bit better with a little less gain on some ways, but if you play with a lot of gain, you have to make sure you play cleanly, you mute strings.
Or else it's going to be all over
or it's going to be all crazy and stuff, and you don't want to do that.
Hopefully, Justin, that answers your question. We did the best we could.
We did the best we could, and if we have to follow up, you can follow.
Follow up, exactly. Comment on below.
You can comment, and I will. No, it's what you can be like. No, that's what I mean. I was cooking eggs. It's really a question about eggs.
That's probably definitely what it is.
But it's probably not eggs. So
anyway,
we're probably somewhat right here. So hopefully we answered your question.
Indeed.
But
Mike,
man, is there anything we got? We cover everything?
I think we did. I think I got a little nice panorama on your life. See where you go. Okay. We went to Miami, went to Seattle, we went back to New York. It's sort of the beginnings of the jazz recording.
I probably missed a million things. There's a million fun artists I've worked with that are really cool to talk about. But if anybody's got questions, they can hit me up or put in the comments, and I will try to help. I will pass the answer on to you, or you could email me or comment.
And get in touch. On the socials and everything.
On the socials, I'm out there. And again, I'm busy, but I'm never busy. This is what I do. I love this, and I love working with cats. And
it's not unobtainium.
No, I'm not like some dude. It's not like you're trying to talk to Brad Pitt or something. It's not like that.
It's close to that, but it's not that.
No.
Anyway, thanks so much, Michael, for doing this, man. Appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. And see you on the next one.
Keep playing out there.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
Like and subscribe.